Hi there guys, and welcome to another Train Sim 2020 video. Today I'm showing off a scenario by Yowie Rail. This is a scenario that as soon as I saw I was like, I'm going to give that a go. Basically because of the name. It is called the Network Fighter Jet. I mean, that is, if there's not a name that entices you into a scenario, I don't know what that is. It's brilliant. It's called the Network Inspection Series and it's the Network Fighter Jet. So in this scenario, as part of the Network Inspection Series, you've just taken over the controls of 68016 on the way to Hornsey. Right, so let's read the blurb and get going. Even driver, tonight you've just taken over the controls of 68016 and 68034, working a special network rail service from York to Hornsey Depot. First things first, set up the train in time for your departure of 1757, then proceed non-stop to Hornsey. Your line's very busy tonight, so watch those signals on your way. That's going to be fun for me. Please note your top speed is limited to 102 miles an hour. Okay. Have fun, good run. 102, that's 102. Let's have that all on. Make sure our ETS is on. Headlights are on. DRA is off. We should be good to go. Let's get some instrument lights on. Cool. Love a bit of East Coast mainline action, as you guys all know anyway. That should be us ready to go. Oh, I'm guessing I might have a branding pack installed because I should have some Network Rail logos on those. Awesome. Does look good, doesn't it? Love a yellow train. There's always been something about, even when I was a kid, I've said this before, like, a lot of my trip was spent looking out windows waiting for sidings to see some sort of weird yellow bit of on-track plant or something. Or like the Holy Grail, which was like a breakdown crane, a re-railing crane. Those were awesome looking things. I don't know if there's any, I know there's the big Kiro ones now, but I don't know if there's any actual, a lot of it's done by jacks and things like that now, no actual cranes. I wonder if there is any rail mounted actual big proper like 75-ton cranes anymore. If you know, let me know. I'm pretty sure Network Rail held on to one or two, I'm sure they did. Whether they're operational or not though, I don't know. Right, that 365 went out before me, so that's definitely stopping at Huntingdon. Well, it's probably doing Huntingdon, Sydney, Sandy Biggleswade, Darsley, Hitchin, Stevenage, Finsbury Park and London King's Cross, which is probably what's going to hold us up a bit. Ooh. You're in the wrong place, boys. Naughty being in the 6 foot. Love the Mark II pack. '68s have been, for me, I mean, I see them as quite a success story of new stock in the UK. They're incredibly versatile machines. We've got them on railhead treatment trains now as well. What else have we had them on? A lot of charters, passenger stock with the Mark V's, Chiltern stock with the Mark V, with the Mark III's, sliding door Mark III's, nuclear stock, containers. They really are like the epitome of a mixed traffic locomotive, aren't they? Like a modern day 37. Impressive bits of kit. Love the physics of this nowadays, driving it with the EP as well. Let's see, I could bring up some manuals for this bad boy as well, if they're in my manual folder. So should we do like the specs to start with? So there is literally, they're made by Vossloh and Stadler actually. Locomotive model is a UK light. They've got a bobo wheel arrangement, width of 2.69 metres, height of 3.82. The diesel engine is a Caterpillar C1755-16, and it's a 4-stroke engine. Power is 2,800 kilowatts or 3,800 horsepower, so a powerful bit of kit. Injection system is a common rail electric unit injection, with bore stroke of 175 by 220. Maximum engine speed is 1,800 RPM. Idling speed is 600 RPM. Maximum starting tractive effort is 317 kilonewtons. Tractive effort at maximum speed 55 kilonewtons. Maximum train speed 100. Maximum brake cylinder pressure is 52.2 psi or 3.6 bar. Fuel tank volume is 5,600 litres. And the numbers are 68001 to 68009 are DRS, 68010 to 0115 are Chiltern, and 016 to 025 DRS again. So I don't know which one of those TPE you've got. This will be quite outdated. This was a DRS manual for when they were new. There we go, she's holding the 102 mile an hour we were given. Class 68 is fitted with a gas mask in both cabs. Instructions on how to use it are on the box. And then in big letters it says, these are fitted to comply with EU legislation. If you think it's dangerous gases may be emitted, stop the train immediately and exit. This bit you'll know about because I've got it all in there. So that should be the lamp test button, that one. It's annoying that doesn't work, actually. Let's find something different that you guys... Well, dynamic brake, this is something we're always... I'm always a little bit loath to using this thing. We'll look at braking properly. This section regulates electric braking effort. Zero position is latched, acts as a sliding lever between 0 and 100, so it's correct as it is. And the selector switch has 6 positions for the lights. There's forward train, forward alone, FA, backward alone, backwards train, shunting, SH. It's weird, isn't it? So our ETS light should now be red. That means ETS is on. Brilliant. It's quite weird because on the TPE versions for working with the Mark 5s and stuff, they've got a whole new extra box thing on top of here and another screen here with another box up here, and that's for the Mark 5s, the SDO stuff for the Mark 5s and that sort of thing. They're quite interesting. Brake panel and towing table, that's quite cool. So locomotive operation. The diesel engine has 2 auxiliary electric motors to start it. The start battery supplies the necessary electric current for the starting motors to crank the diesel engine. The engine must be pre-lubricated before starting. The pre-lubricating electric pump driven by the battery starts when the engine start button is pressed. When the normal lubricating pressure is reached, the starter motors are energized automatically and the engine is cranked until it starts. The mechanical power developed by the diesel engine is applied directly to the main generator through a mechanical coupling. The battery charger is charging both the engine starting and main battery. I was hoping to have got to braking before oh, it was tabbable. Locomotives provided with the following brake modes: dynamic, automatic, straight air, emergency, backup auxiliary brakes. Parking brake is also fitted, which is used to immobilise the vehicle when stationary. The dynamic brake is useful for controlling the brake speed. The dynamic brake section of the throttle handle should only be used when running as a light locomotive, otherwise auto brake control should be used. Richard has told me this like a million times. So we shouldn't use the dynamic braking with the train. The braking effort is highest between 165 kilonewtons, between 3 and 28 miles an hour. When the speed is lower than 3 and higher than 28, braking effort reduces significantly. Right, we don't need to do that then. The brake is the normal brake time for all train. This brake is the normal brake for all types of train at any speed. The operation of this brake is the same for other types of locomotives, so we're just using the air brakes from now on. So the controller is a demand controller. It doesn't actually apply the brakes itself. It controls the brake demand, which initially applies the dynamic brake. If this does not satisfy the given braking demand, the pneumatic friction brakes will apply throughout the train. The controller has 4 positions: release, hold, brake, apply, emergency brake. Release reduces the brake demand, therefore releasing the brakes. The centre sprung to 0. Neutral holds the current position in the brake cylinders. Keeps the same level of dynamic brake. Apply increases the brake demand, therefore applying the brakes to centre sprung position is 0. Emergency quickly depletes the pressure in the brake pipe, causing the brakes to come on fast and fully as possible. To place the control in this position, it must first be held down and then pushed into place. And you've got your straight air brake, which is just for when you're by yourself. I've done it again, got into emergency braking. Oh, you can go over speed on this thing, can't you? That's why it's the 102. Not that I can remember how to get out of it, though. There we go. It just takes a minute or two, doesn't it? Let's go for 5. That should get us up to a decent speed. This is a Paxton anyway, isn't it? So coming up to Neitz, which should mean that 365 is probably well ahead of us by now, I'd hope. Although we've been quite quick behind it. So there's the Axillary Brake control system, and it says, note, this brake is not to be used without full prior authority. This braking system controls the brake pipe pressure from the straight air brake. It's selected through the brake mode selection switch on the brake panel. I prefer brake frame. I don't know why they call it panel in this. Oh wow, this button here, this is a quick release. It's a bit like an overcharge, I suppose. The use of this button releases both train and locomotive brakes quickly in long trains. It does this by using main reservoir pressure to charge the brake pipe more quickly. Under current DRS operation procedures, there is no need for this function to be used. I've done it again. Brake overcharging removes any residual braking after a locomotive change in a train. This residual braking occurs when first locomotive supplies the brake pipe with a slightly lower pressure, for example 4.9 bar instead of 5 bar, than the second locomotive. So this is like when you connect up, which means it will never quite fully release the brakes. The brakes will not apply throughout the train with the first locomotive's pressure because the brake distributor control reservoirs have a reference pressure. A pressure lower than the reference pressure will apply the brakes, obviously. Oh, are we overtaking it? Oh, nice. Applied brakes during the train running create friction, which results in heat. This can wear away brake discs and pads, as well as activating any hot axle box textures on the route. The overcharge procedure is fully automatic, however it can be manually activated. If during either automatic or manual overcharging the brakes are applied, the brake pipe pressure will reach that of the brake and then overcharge once released. So, automatic overcharge, every time the brakes are released, a very small overcharge is created by the brake control system. This level depends on the previous braking force. After a full service brake application and the brakes are fully released, the brake pipe pressure will overcharge by approximately 0.2 bar above release. After a very slight brake application, the charge level is much lower. Once this overcharge is achieved, the brake pipe pressure will slowly bleed back down to 5 bar. The brake distributor should not respond to this change in brake pressure. There you go. It's the actual manual overcharge pressure button, is that one. So that's not really modelled. It's modelled in a few trains, isn't it, doing brake tests? And I don't do running brake tests or anything like that when I play. I should do, really. So in multiple workings, up to 2 Class 68 locomotives can be operating in multiple unit mode. This means that the trailing locomotive applies traction power as well as dynamic braking at the same time and at the same level as the leading locomotive. The mode switch is what determines which locomotive is leading and which is trailing. The two locomotives are prepared individually, coupled up, and then the multiple unit cable is attached to both locomotives. Then the rear trailing locomotive is placed into TRA mode, with the front locomotive staying in SER mode, so service mode. In the trailing locomotive, the brake panel isolation light should be on because it's only the leading locomotive that controls the braking throughout the brake control unit. If more than 2 locomotives are coupled in multiple unit, no traction power will be available. If the multiple unit connection fails or are faulty, only the leading locomotive will be able to take and keep power. Let's put this back up to 5. Got 91 come past us. Stick at 6 then, Alan. The trailing locomotive's engine will idle to charge the battery and provide power for systems as well as ETS if connected. If the connection between the two locomotives fail, there will be a warning fault message on the DDU to confirm this. The multiple unit system cannot control headlights throughout the locomotives, so these must be set locally on each Class 68. Setting up and closing down the driver's desk is done in the same way as described earlier on the prep sheet. Then it goes on to say double traction / tandem operation. When double heading or double tailing a train, locomotives work in tandem. For the locomotive with outcome brake control, place the mode switch into DT, dead train. This switch is also used for Class 60 locomotives that are dead in train. When doing this, ensure you operate the correct isolation cocks in the brake panel, depending on whether the train is dual piped or single piped. The brake pipe can be reduced, brakes applied from any cab in the train, but can only be increased, brake released, from the active leading cab. The straight air brake can be applied or released from any cab in the train, along with the emergency brake being applied from any cab within the train. So that's quite cool. So even if we're in top and tail mode, that's why we've got the tail light on. They do look cool, but unfortunately, to have my FOV back in the cab, it changes the FOV in the game when you're in exterior view as well, which I think makes some trains look a bit elongated. Next we goes on to the wheel control system. The Class 68 is fitted with an intelligent system for wheel control, wheel slip and wheel slide. The system cuts power to the affected axles and stands automatically. Wheel slide during dynamic braking usually occurs when one axle decelerates much faster than the others. This system reduces the dynamic braking effort to that axle. Standing is fully automatic but can be overridden or isolated by the driver at any speed. The DDU will display the wheel slip icon if it occurs and will react accordingly. Oh right, because the engine needs to be at above 12 degrees to start, it's got a preheater, which is quite nice. So the heater panel control is found in the low voltage cabinet in the electrical compartment behind cab 1. This is used when the engine temperature is below the minimum start temperature of 12 degrees C, before it is started up in a locomotive preparation. The heater only has one button that is to be used by train crew, and this is the central red heat button. This toggles the heater on and off. No other buttons are to be pressed by train crew. These are for engineering staff only. The timer. The heater must be turned off in the same way as it is turned on when the engine is started. So next it goes on about the TELOC system. So this system says it's a train length system. This system notifies the driver once the back of their train has passed a certain point, be it a speed board or set of points, etc. To enable the system of length, the train must be entered into the TELOC 2500 system, sorry. When you would like to start counting down, press the white train length button to the right of the document holding clips. I don't know if this works on this one, does it? It does. And that was it. When the button is pressed, a single beep will sound to confirm the system is activated. When the rear of the train passed that point, another 2 beeps to confirm its length. The counting down can be cancelled at any time by pressing the train length button again. 2 beeps will sound to confirm this. So again, I'll show you when we get to some sort of marker. This whistle board, right? So that's the back of my train just past that point. Oh, we've got like a brand new one, look. It's done 62 kilometres overall with 9 what? Okay. Oh, AESS. Automatic engine start-stop. That's next on the list. So one of the fuel-saving features of Class 68 is a system called DayGuard. This is an automatic engine start-stop, or an AESS system, which shuts down the diesel engine after a period of inactivity. It only works when certain criteria is met. That will be the throttles in idle, reverses in neutral, locomotive is stationary, parking brake is not applied, either of the cabs are active, or the electric train supply is not active. If these conditions are met, the system will shut down the engine after 10 minutes. The driver has 20 seconds, the countdown is displayed on the DDU, to abort the shutdown. To abort this shutdown, press the button for the AES icon on the DDU, which should be there. After shutdown has been aborted, there will be 30 more minutes until the next attempt. The system can be temporarily isolated through the DDU itself, so we can do it through that. And here we go, look, this is why we keep hitting out. So it's overspeed protection. The maximum speed of a Class 68 is 100 miles an hour. In order to enforce this, the locomotive is fitted with overspeed protection. When the speed of the locomotive reaches 102.5, traction cutout will occur. A message will be shown on the DDU along with traction cutout symbol. If the speed of the locomotive reaches 106.8, the system will enforce an emergency brake application. To regain power after any of the above, the throttle must be placed in idle before retrying for traction power. So the electric train supply systems, this is what feeds passenger coaches and things like that, power. Class 68 is also fitted with an electric train supply system for the working of passenger trains. There is a proving backlight on the ceiling of each cab for the shunter to see whether the system is on before doing any shunting work. This is important to check before any ETS connectors are touched. You cannot touch any ETS connectors if there is power going through them. Red means that the ETS is on, and blue means that it is off. There does not need to be an active cab for the system to be switched on or off. The system can be switched on or off while the train is moving. The ETS can only be started if the ETS ready light on the warning light panel is illuminated. So other important information, a little bit stuttery there. So, other important information. Running through water. Under no circumstances must the Class 68 be driven through water deep enough to reach the bottom of the traction motors. Serious damage will occur if this happens. Traction motor cutout. If What is that? Might be a reason why we had a decent bit of stutter there. If necessary, the system will automatically isolate traction motors. If the driver cannot manually isolate the motors, password is required on the DDU. Slipped pinion locked power wheel. If a slipped pinion or lock-powered wheel is detected by the locomotive, a warning will show on the DDU. A rotational test is to be carried out. If there is a train man, ask him or her to assist. If driver only, mark each powered wheel, move forward, leaving enough room. Say it again. If standing at a signal, and then check all wheels have rotated the same distance. It's a good manual, the 68 one, but I do like it. But the one I got from Voslo is even better. It's the descriptive manual. So stopping him and letting me past. I've got some priority today. Do you see that little boost on the pressure gauge there? On brake pipe pressure there? Sorry, cylinder pressure went just after I did the brakes. Watch it again. Can I change the little white indicator on that? I can't. We only used dynamic there, so it didn't really do it. Oh, now I'm back up to the fasts. Okay. Suppose we're a test train, maybe that bit needed to be inspected. I mean, there is so much in this one, it's unreal. So it even tells me that there's 4 batteries of 12 volts connected in 2 series, 2 parallel. The nominal voltage 24 volts. Capacity is 2 times 175 amp hours. A lead acid. Start batteries are lead acid. 4 batteries of 12 volts connected in 2x2 series, gave them 20 volts, and that is 2 times 50 amp hours. The compressor is a Knorr MBS SL20-5 twin shaft rotary compressor. I mean, this guy, it just goes into silly detail. Ah, yes, CIFA. In theory, this has CIFA. So do the Mark Vs. The TPE ones. Right, so in the DRS manual it calls it day guard, right? So in the Vossloh manual it calls it a layover system. Diesel engine protection system against low temperature conditions when the locomotive stops with a stopped diesel engine. Additionally, an automatic engine stop-start system, or night guard system, is provided for stable locomotive areas where wayside power is not available. I've gone over 102 again. Locomotive control system consists of 3 computers. Vehicle control unit that controls the power system, the control logics, which is the contactors and relays, and the displays fitted on each driving desk. Traction control for each inverter is connected with a VCU and a CAN open bus system. Digital controllers with a VCU via a JL939 bus. So the car body description, this is quite interesting. Locomotive car body is a self-supporting assembly constructed with high resilient limit and high stiffness steel that form a light high-strength structure made from the following structures: frame, sidewall structure, roof bolsters and curb structure. Underframe is of constant section design and serves as main carrying member for hoods, cabs and equipment. Locomotive frame consists in a completely welded construction in charge of bearing the weight of the assembly, resisting bogie and tractive effort braking as well as strong impacts on the buffers. It is made up of 2 side sills supported by centre sills, 2 lateral side frames, cross member between the side frames, end plates on the ends and a frame floor. The frame rests on the bogies by means of 2 pivots. Pivots are welded onto the frame structure pivot bolster. The secondary suspension located between the underframe and the bogie is in charge of absorbing relative movements between both elements during vehicle running. There you go. All the roof is removable. Coolant hatch, diesel engine hatch and electric room hatch. So the cab is provided with 2 completely equipped cabs located on frame ends. Cab access is carried out through 2 lateral doors with a lock and key. Another inside door allows access to the engine room. Cab assembly has been designed to meet functionality and ergonometry requirements necessary for reaching optimum driving conditions. The cab has been designed following a UIC 651 OR standard. The cab is made by high resilient limit and high stiffness steel structure with a glass fibre reinforced polyester fairing, providing the cab with a lightweight and high protection for driving personnel. It has a lower glass fibre reinforced polyester fairing mounted on the cab structure, on which these are mounted the headlights and tail lights. The whole cab structure is conditioned to absorb energy in case of collision by means of plastic deformation. Cab's modular design allows the cab fairings and lower body to be easily disassembled from its crate. Inside lining is made of insulating materials and fiberglass reinforced polyester as protection against heat and noises. Cab floor is made of anti-slide coating. It's air conditioning in the roof, and it has one 2 kilowatt heater placed inside the driver's desk. It's the aircon, yeah, it's literally this box here. I'm looking at a CAD drawing of it now. I'm going to have a little look at my settings. I keep getting some relatively large frame rate drops, which is irritating. So the locomotive is provided with 2 identical bogies. These are high adherent 2 axle bogies with 2 driving axles. Locomotive is supported on both sides by 2 bogies to distribute weight on the rails through the secondary suspension and the primary suspension. The secondary suspension is made up of 4 hexacolloidal springs and completed by 2 transverse dampers and 2 vertical dampers on each bogie. Oscillations between the car body and bogie are limited by means of 2 vertical buffers and 2 horizontal buffers. Tractive and braking efforts are transmitted from the driving axles to the bogie frame through the driving rod of the bogie guiding system and from the bogie to the locomotive car body through a car body bogie link. Bogie and underframe rests on wheel sets throughout the primary suspension system, and the axle boxes of each primary suspension is made up of 2 coil springs and a vertical damper. Buffers limit primary suspension stroke. Axle boxes are provided with the taper rolling bearings, motor equipment on each axle was made of traction motor and gearbox. The traction motor is bolted to the bogie frame and connected to the gearbox by means of flexible disc coupling. The gearbox is connected to the corresponding axle and elastically suspended to the bogie. Yeah, elastically suspended to the bogie frame by means of a reaction rod. They're those rubber sort of, like, looks like a, it's hard to describe. Auxiliary equipment assembled on the side of the bogie are standing pipes, traction motor, speed sensors, anti-skid sensors and pulse generator for speedometers, grounding straps and AWS antenna. So, pneumatic systems on the train. The compressed air pneumatic system is used for pneumatic brake and auxiliary device operation for Sanders horn, operation of cab ventilation cover, and the radar blower. That's that hiss you heard when we were just outside the cab and we came back in. That just puffs a bit of air in front of the radar to make sure there's nothing on it, keeps it clean. 59s do it, I don't know, I think 66s do it as well. See if we hear it. No, we're not going to hear it. So there are 4 freewheeling turbochargers on this, each engine of this thing. Like the worst place to try and get outside sounds. There you go. Let me just see if I can fiddle here and sort something out. No, it's not going to be able to do it, is it? Because I can't change. Let's bring you down a little bit. Ooh. I haven't played with that too much, to be fair. I think, funnily enough, it's my shadows that are doing it. Right, so I hope you've pretty much enjoyed having a talk through of the Class 68 manual. I could do more of these videos. These are always videos that people either love or hate, so I don't expect this video to be a massive one. But I enjoy doing them, it gives me a time to read them as well. It's been nice to bomb a 68 down the East Coast Main Line. I've really enjoyed that. Right, watch the brake cylinder. There you go. Comes on, then goes off again. So that was that overcharge thing we spoke about earlier. There's single yellow, thought it would be. Does that look red? I don't want to risk it. It does look red. Single passenger approved though. Looks. Hey. So I'm going down the Harrogate poop. I'm sure it did say something about a red signal at Alexandra Palace. In fact, I am deadly serious it did. In the README. Oh, what's Bounds Green going to look like soon? Yeah, I've got the call on, that's fine. Quite some stutter. Brief stop it just before the signal. Okay. Got these little added bits in, these little cameos. What matey boys are doing standing the forefoot though. Do I not take it into the depot? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do like these cameos. I'm going to send Yowie the link to the PTS video. Before you can proceed in the depot, you will need to correctly set the points yourself. Map view cam to make sure points are leading to Hornsey Depot 13. That's 13's here. That was on it. Right, so we want that one. That one. That one. What was that? 13? Or was it 14? Getting all confused. Oh, it's 14. So that's 13. I don't think I've ever driven into Hornsey Depot from this end, you know, in this game. Driven in from the other way. Right. Or is it actually going to want me to go further right up there? Is it really? I don't think I'm in 13. I think that's why that happened. I hate that map view thing. Yeah, what? I was on 12? Oh, Alan, you idiot, man. Right, go a little bit more forward. Clear those points. Should be good. Perfect. So I hate doing shunting bits. The map confuses the heck out of me. I know it's stupid, and everybody should be able to do it, but I just always irritates me. But anyway, I really enjoyed that scenario. Really, really enjoyed that scenario. So I hope you guys did too. I hope you enjoyed that little talk through the video, the manual as well. We'll shut ourselves down, which we can do. Alright, cool. Leave that on for the boys in the back to get themselves sorted before we turn everything else off. Alright guys, thanks ever so much for joining. Please feel free to like, share and subscribe. Head on over to AlanThompsonSim.com where you'll find this scenario and thousands of other ones that are free. Also, you can pay and become a subscription member and pay for a subscription and get some of the subscriber-only content as well. Head over to Twitch on a Sunday and Wednesday from 7 PM. Check Facebook for updates on that. Also, the Facebook group link is in the description below. Once again, guys, thanks ever so much. Catch you next time.